Welcome back to the Playbase. I am buzzing. I am so excited. And I think this feeling feels really surreal to me because 11 years ago, I started the Playbase as a solo pregnant individual, which felt like a very stupid idea at the time. But here I am with 5 absolutely brilliant, beautiful, and incredible souls that I'm so excited to introduce you to. Actually, how about each of you takes a turn? We'll do a round robin to just say your name. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Diana.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Wendy.
Hi, everyone. My name's Katrina.
Hello, I'm Danielle.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer.
And welcome to the Playbase, guys. Well, you're not new to the Playbase, but you're welcome to the Playbase podcast. And one of the things that we always talk about is our nervous system, right? We talk a lot about that. And right now, everyone's nervous system is like, oh my God, there's a recording and there's a camera. And we spoke before this about how we're just going to have a conversation. And I recently did a podcast on my story where I answered questions people had asked me and shared a little bit about what brought me into this field, because I don't know about you guys, but when I was studying, I knew zero about this field. Nobody was educating on this field. There was no public information in my field of psychology. I didn't know anyone who practiced in behavior therapy. I was in Toronto. It was, 17 years ago that I graduated. I don't know how many years ago it was. And I found a job entitled behavior therapist. And I saw that I didn't require a master's or a PhD and I could be a therapist. And I was like, oh, that's like a dream come true. I don't need to have like extra credentials. I can just work as a therapist. This like title that I always wanted, although I always wanted the psychologist title. That was like my golden star, was to be a psychologist. But I don't believe anything happens by accident.
Very true.
I am a deeply spiritual person. I speak about this all the time, and everything happens divinely as it should. And so I happened to fall into this field, or I found my calling. Does anyone want to share a story about how they ended up in this field? Because I know for me, it felt very unnatural and by accident. Katrina, I feel like you have something coming out of you.
So a little background about myself. I had a brother with cerebral palsy, and he fortunately passed away. So I've always had that need to help family, but like myself, already cried.
It's okay.
I'm with you.
I always, I knew that my calling was to help family. I went to UF. I was a nursing major because hello, Filipinos are supposed to be nurses. And I told my dad, like, it's not gonna happen. So my fallback was psychology. At that time, there was a great ABA courses, by the way, in UF, and my what do you call it? My counselor failed me. Anyway, after UF, my friend helped me find a job working with adults with mental illness, and it was not bringing me joy. It was just day after day. It wasn't it. And then kind of like, okay, what's my transition from, I was a psychotherapist, I guess that's like they would call me. So the transition was, autism therapist. I was like, kind of like you, was like, yes, this was what I'm looking for, to go from adults to children. Like, this is the bridge. So when I found the field, I felt like, oh my God, this is what I was looking for. With counseling, it's like you talk and talk and talk and talk. And I felt like we're not getting anywhere. Like, where's the progress? I was feeling very disheartened and like my soul was just shriveling up. And so when I found this agency in Davie, and I worked with my first client, and I was able to recognize, the subtle like behaviors. Like, I think he wants this. I think he wants that. And that was it. I was hooked. At that time, I was getting my master's in special education. I was like, what is this field? I'm getting like goosebumps. What is this field like? I need my master in this as well. And then from there, was love at first sight.
I love that.
Good.
I think this field is now, I think especially in North America, but is now like a very common field for people to go into. But years ago, it absolutely was not. And so people who've been in the field for many years, I think kind of fell into it in some way, like met somebody or applied for a job that seemed appealing in some way. Like I remember when I was interviewed by the psychologist who trained me, she asked me if I had experience with autistic people in the past. And I was like, yeah, I read about autism in a textbook.
Yeah.
That was my experience. Or I worked at a special education camp, like an integration camp. I wasn't given anyone's diagnosis, but I worked with kids with different needs and I loved it. Does that count? Like, no, I have zero information. And something I want to touch on is that this field is associated with autism, but we have some people in the room who don't work just with the autistic population. Some people work in schools. Some people work with children without diagnoses. A lot of us work with parents with or without diagnoses. And in the end, this field itself is so transferable to any walk of life. It's just been associated with the autistic population as the quote unquote treatment for autism. It's like it irks me to my core to know that that's what it is. I'm looking at you specifically, Jennifer, because there are a few things that I just and I told you guys I was going to call you out, and here I am calling you out. Sorry, but there are two elements that I just touched on that fall deep into your life. One is the school piece and one is the autism piece. And I'm wondering if you want to share your experience, not just as a practitioner, but as a human and a soul walking this planet, as a mom, as a consultant. Would you care to share?
Of course. Hi guys again. So a little bit more of like my backstory is I initially got into this field by accident, just like Francis said. I didn't know nothing about this field. I actually got my first degree in social work because my biggest desire was to help everybody or who I can literally touch, bring out of a bad situation into a good situation. And then my loving son at the age of 3 years old got diagnosed with ASD, and it was a journey. Um, and I found myself getting so angry about, the situation that happened to me or that happened to us that kind of like disrupted our family a little bit. But what ended up happening is that I found it to be the greatest blessing because it allows me to be able to understand what other parents go through, to
Yeah.
understand what other parents, feel. So of course by accident fell in love with this field. I got into the field. And it was just basically trying to help my son. And so a little bit of experience as me working in centers was just noticing like behaviors and noticing how people were not being considerate of the kid. It was like, I told you to do something and I need you to do it. And it just broke my heart because I'm like, if somebody was to do this to my kid, I don't know how great I would
You
be.
better run.
I don't
You
know
better
how great
run.
and they were trying to teach me how to do it. And I was just like, okay, maybe if we implement this, maybe if we implement that, or if we, put something in front of them first, or let them play a little bit first, or you become the person, pair every single day with the kid for the first 15 minutes. You become the reinforcer, not the object. Like those kind of things is what I learned, of course, through my son and, just watching other people in the field. So I've learned a lot in this field, or this by accident field. And then, of course, I came to the play base, which all of you beautiful ladies are here. And Francis has this more compassionate piece where we focus more on the nervous system. We focus more on the kiddo. We focus more on what they feel on the inside versus, I guess the old school version of it. And so I started working in schools, and it is not only our kids with ASD who have a lot of dysregulation, it's everybody, especially with all the expectations that we have on kids, the teachers, we have principals, we have all these different things. So it's a lot on the kiddos as well in the school. And then we have a lot of teachers, which again, I love teachers. Their jobs are hard. Like I wouldn't want to be a
Oh
teacher
my
at all. I'm
God.
so
Me
sorry,
neither.
guys. Like big up to our teachers.
Yes. Big round of applause to them.
They aren't trained in certain areas. So it has been a passion for me to be able to walk into a classroom and to be like, hey, maybe you should try this. Maybe you should try this or try that. And they'd be like, oh my goodness, Jennifer, that was just like something great or something I never even thought about, doing. Or like maybe after lunch, let's not go directly into work. Maybe we could do something that they can like play a game or something like that, just to kind of bring them down from all that sugar. So it's the simplest things of putting certain implementations in place to be able to help. So
That's beautiful. Actually,
To work with you.
right? Right? Listen, this is the table of gems. I just want you to know. Table of gems. And we're actually missing a gem who either has already had or is having her baby. Sam, we miss you. And we're excited for you. We're missing you at this table. I want to add something I spoke about. I was actually with Diana yesterday in a camp setting, but in a like classroom setting. And something that I said yesterday is that we have this ability as the analysts going in to hyperfocus. We hyperfocus our attention, our intention, and our energy on one being. And a teacher is not allowed to do that. Because if they do, then all the other beings end up falling off, and then you have chaos anyways. Our ability to hyper-focus on a being means that we are attending to every nuanced little behavior that we can see. And Katrina and I spoke about this yesterday. We are able to attend to their energy, to the things that we can intuitively feel, specifically with that being. And what's so crazy about that is that a teacher can't pick up on every single person's energy. They pick up on the collective, or they'll pick up on, the spark going off. Like somebody's energy is like blowing out of their body and you're like, oh my God, like I can feel that, right? As the analyst, we're able to feel and see little shifts and be like, oh, I felt that. I saw that. What was that? And then we're able to see the results of that. And through our own years of experience of having seen lots of things over time, our knowledge, all the textbooks and the lectures and the information that we collected, which all sits back there. And then on top of that, and I would say even more powerfully than that, is this feeling. And the feeling I describe as a knowing. It's not a knowing I learned in a book or that a professor once taught me or that a training explained to me. It's a knowing that comes from deep within of what somebody feels or needs in a moment. And so my follow-up question for you guys is, are you aware of your deep knowing? Because I call it a knowing. And the reason I call it a knowing is that it's not in the same way that I don't believe in God. I have a knowing of God. It's not, because to me, belief is like something you can shatter in some way. And that's at this point in my life, you can't shatter that out of me. It is a knowing. And there's information that you receive that you can't dispute. It's a knowing. It's like somebody's energy you can feel within your body because our energies transfer. Are you guys aware of your knowing, and do you use it in your work? Does anyone want to chime in about your deep knowing, which is not a scientifically practiced part of ABA? So here comes, people being like, oh, here comes witchcraft Francis coming in with nonsense, but it's not nonsense. It's actually been scientifically proven. And if you study people like Dr. Joe Dispenza, if you study Einstein, if you study the science of energy, if you study our mirror neurons, which are part of our brains, if you study how our energy lives outside of our body and interacts with other people's energy, It's just a known fact at this point, and thank God for people who have studied it, because this knowing used to make me feel like I was a cuckoo bird and like there was something wrong with me, until I learned that it was actually one of my gifts. Does anyone want to chime in? Wendy?
Think about it.
I want Wendy to chime in because this is a task I gave Wendy when I started this podcast. You're like, great.
Guys. So like, hi. She's calling us. You see that? She said she was not gonna do it, but she is.
Sorry.
No. It is true. It was recently that I kind of noticed due to Francis. I always knew that I always felt more than normal. Like I'm very good to go to a place and I can feel the energy right away.
Yeah.
If it's good, if it's not, if it's something going on, if something is off, it's automatically that I feel. But to me, it was that. Maybe I was crazy. Maybe I was like, oh, this is weird about me. But with that, it got me to a point that I got to this feel. It was different. The kids, I can feel the kids when they were dysregulated.
Yeah.
It was not just, oh, he wants water or the needs. It was more than that. It was picking up of what's happening around him. Is it the light? Is it something else? And it was automatically your nervous system. Mom was dysregulated, the teacher was dysregulated, and they couldn't understand that. As soon as I step in, it was like, this is more than just the needs or anything. It's more than that. With the time working here, Francis said, oh, you know that I feel the same way? And I'm like, really? So it's not real? I'm crazy.
So if you're listening, I want you to know you're not crazy. Because for my entire life, I thought I had the most active imagination, that I am so, there's something wrong with me is what I thought. It's truly what I thought. And it was something I hid. It was something that I had somebody else point out to me. And when she pointed it out to me, I laughed. And then I had somebody else point it out to me. And somebody else pointed out to me, to the point where someone's like, you don't think it's funny that you say you do ABA, but you do energy work? And I was like, what? No, I don't think it's funny. I do ABA. You call yourself a behavior analyst, but that's not all you're doing. And I was like, what? I don't understand. Until I really came to like analyze myself. And somebody I worked with was like, you need to go back to working with kids, because when you work with kids, you'll remember that what you're doing in a moment is not just data collection and analyzing data. It is so much deeper than that. It is like a connection to someone's soul. And when you are doing this work, I really want you guys to sit with the fact that you're not correcting anybody. You are giving a path to an existence that feels more liberating to somebody. You're giving an opportunity for somebody to accept themselves and love themselves and be understood and understand themselves and have a path to expressing themselves in whatever way, so that we can learn from them. Because in my experience, all those kids that we work with are more deeper connected than I am. And I have learned 1,000 times more from any client than I have ever taught them. And I'm wondering if, and Dan, I'm going to call on you because I want you to move in and get into the conversation. I'm just calling on all of you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Danielle, I'm calling on you next. If this field has been healing for you in a way.
100%. So my son also has ADHD, and he hasn't been diagnosed with autism, but I feel that he has autism. There's a lot of symptoms that they, like the steaming and all of that. But no, it has helped me also to heal myself in that, like you mentioned, Jen, that it's really hard because your family kind of gets, like what's going on. Like we have, and he's 15 now, and so it's hard to see, like the defiant disorder too, and things like that. So it's like, okay, I go to my room, I breathe, I do all these things, and then I can, connect with him better. So it has helped me a lot.
As a mom.
Yes, and as a mom, and I can sympathize, like you say, right? Because it's so deeply connected to me that I can sympathize, and I love to be a behavior analyst, and
I
I
know.
love working for you. It has been an incredible experience because you have that, and you have taught me so much.
Thank
Cool.
you. I'm so glad, and you have taught me so much too.
Yeah.
And I think I wanna bring Danielle into the conversation because I could just see your eyes light up as I was talking about the impact our clients have.
Yeah.
And the experience as we are the provider, but we are also the recipient. And I think that there's this unspoken about exchange that happens. Like I have countless times looked into the eyes of a child. Yesterday I did this. And it has made me feel something unexplainable.
Yep.
Like it's a feeling I cannot put into words that I'm like, don't cry. You're in public. Don't cry. And I have to like control myself because there's something about this work that touches you on a soul level that doesn't, sure, it may work through, subconscious things and like conscious things. It may do all of those things, but it has definitely touched my soul in a way that I'm like, I feel like I get to work with angels, and that's like the ultimate experience. I'm curious because I could see it I could feel it off of you is like bursting out of you. Like, yes, I totally resonate.
I think for me, especially since coming to the play base, I've had a very different experience, especially like the populations I've been working with. In the past, it's always been a lot of younger learners and
Mhm.
teaching them foundational skills. But through my time at the play base and getting older clients who have different needs and different ways of communicating, I've learned a lot about just life
Mhm.
and perspective taking and understanding that, when you walk into a session, the first thing you should be doing is checking in with the kid. Like, how was your day? That's
Yeah.
the simplest question you could ask. And they can just give you a whole different perspective of like, well, I dealt with this like barrier today, so I'm feeling this way. And I want to do this during session, and like their ability to kind of regulate you going into a session. Like, oh no, my client's telling me they had a hard day, but it's amazing that they're able to sit here and tell me like what they need
Yeah.
from me to help them get through this session. And I think the older clients have really just like put into perspective life, right?
Mhm.
Like just seeing the good in things, taking the good and the bad, and like making choices to overcome the bad. Also with older clients, seeing a lot of the family dynamics has been huge.
Mhm.
And you don't realize how much, the families need help too. It's not just the clients. And you could walk into an environment and feel the energy of, oh, I can tell mom is having a really hard day today. Like maybe the first part of session, instead of supervising the therapist, I go talk to mom for 10 minutes and then go back to the session and check in on them.
I
Um,
I
Yeah.
think in this field sometimes we do forget how much the parents do have to go through.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's because we focus a lot on the kids. And I'm not saying anything bad because of course all day the kids are important, but we are the ones that have to deal with them, like all day. We wake
Mhm.
them up, we get them fed, we deal with the attitude, we take them to school, we bring them home, we deal with all of it all at one time. And now if we're talking about now siblings on top of that, now that's a whole nother stress in itself. So there's this part of me where I feel like we have to have compassion for our parents too. Like I look at when we do intakes, when you ask a question like, "Hey, how many times do they do speech or something like that?" Just something simple, and they'd be like, "Oh, I don't know," because I've had it myself where the analyst will look at me like, "How do you not know this stuff?" And I'm like, "Well, I apologize that I don't know this, but what I had to deal with this morning is what I'm struggling with." So when I used to do like my intakes and when I was gaining my hours, it would be like as soon as I walk in with the parents, it's just being like, you know what, just I'm here for you. I understand what you're going through. Let me know everything. It's okay. This is something that we can kind of figure out together versus it making it look like, how could you not or do not do this? So I think, and I've seen how autism has broken up marriages. Like I've seen how
Yeah.
it has taken a toll, like regular, I don't want to say regular, but regular kids take a toll on marriages. Like just imagine now you have a kid with special needs. Now you have all these other responsibilities that needs to get, put into place or things you have to do. And it's just like, oh my goodness, how we're doing it. And then you have another person who has a different viewpoint on how we should discipline the kid on special. I've seen how it affects parents, and having a teenager now who tells me no or don't want to or just doesn't listen. It's a, it's a complete. That's like you have a 15-year-old. I'm scared of what that even looks like at this point right now. I'm just like, but I think that's why for me, early intervention is such a big thing because at the end of the day, I'm not going to be here forever. I need him and I need all of my clients to be able to take care of themselves because if they ever have to go into a facility, which I speak against, or just living in this world, you would want them to be able to function on their own because these people people who have to work with them don't get paid enough to take care of them the way that they need to be taken care of. And that's a big thing with me as I talk to my parents. I'm like, it may seem a little bit hard now, but your ending result is going to be worth it. So I definitely do agree. We need to sit down and we need to talk to parents a little
Yeah.
bit more
I
in the sessions.
I also think, sorry, back to parents, sometimes it's not even like behavioral stuff I'll sit down and talk with them about. It's like, what are you doing for yourself?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Like there's a self-care component of checking in with yourself as a parent, whether your kid has a diagnosis or not. Obviously, there's environmental factors that are at play, and everyone in the household can end up feeling dysregulated. And what are you doing to check in with yourself?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of parents need reminders.
I think that's a good thing
That-
because I grew up in a Caribbean household where they'd be like, as soon as you have children, your whole life is done. So it's just kind of like when somebody was like, "Oh, Jennifer, just go see a movie," and I'm like, "So I got to find a cartoon movie where I take all the kids with me." I don't want to do that. And they're like, "No, Jennifer, you leave the children here and you go." And I'm like, "Oh, that's a thing." So there's
I think
these two.
I think there is a really big shift in parenting where I was definitely parented by somebody who modeled with such love that selflessness is the priority
Mhm.
and that to be selfish is a negative thing. That's how she was raised. And so the values in my house were you prioritize other people and their well-being over your own, and you sacrifice yourself for the well-being of others. And I think that that was very much like a motherly thing to do is I will be last always. And I think there's a new shift coming about that is really hard to change because what do? We do what was modeled for us.
Yeah.
Like I was just talking about this with my husband. I remember in my psychology textbook, there was an image and it was a mom looking in the mirror and a daughter looking in the mirror. And the mom looking at the daughter saying, "You're beautiful," and looking in the mirror saying, "I'm ugly." And in the next image, it was the daughter looking at herself in the mirror saying, "I'm ugly." She's doing what's modeled. And I remember my mom always saying to me, she's like, "I told you your whole life that you're beautiful. How come you don't believe it?" And I was like, "What'd you tell yourself?" And it's this whole idea that we repeat what was modeled to us unless we heal it, unless we work really, really hard to shift it. And I think that that's what this generation of parents is trying to do is like, okay, we know that we need to take care of ourselves. We know that we need to ask for help. Like my kids know my mom is not going to ask for help. It's like her badge of honor. I'm never going to ask for help. It's not a badge of honor. Asking for help is a sign of strength also. And so when parents come to us openly saying, "Please help me," it's actually the most beautiful stepping stone towards healing. Yet I think a lot of parents like me carry shame about every single perceived mistake, may or may not be a mistake, but perceived mistake. And the fact that somebody's going to come in and analyze every single thing that I do. No, thank you. You're not welcome in my home. My doors are shut. Or I'm going to come with my, wall of China barrier. You're not going to enter in here and see the destruction that I feel or the shame that I feel and that I carry. And so just as much as our work is with the kids, our work actually is with their village, whether that be parents, grandparents, caregivers, teachers, therapists. And that is the part of the work that I never thought I wanted to do. I used to work directly with kids as a therapist, like all of you. And the idea of sitting down with parents or with teachers terrified me. Then I became a consultant at schools, and then it became my job to sit down with the adults and have conversations with the parents, more so than it became working directly with children. And I was like, I'm not going to just have access to the kids coming to my office all the time. My office is this tiny hole in the wall, so that's not really feasible. But it ended up sitting in meetings, walking into classrooms, working with the adults. And in the field, when you become the analyst, you are working a lot more with the adults. You get the pleasure of working with the kids and seeing the outcome and interacting with them. But the bulk of your work actually is building trust with the adults, being a support system, a sounding board, a guide, and not a coach and not a therapist for them, but being kind of let's navigate this together through my lens that I'm going to help you see through, but through your lens because you live this every day.
One of the things that is being challenging in my end is parents that some of the here they have kids. I don't. So one of the things that normally parents will come to you and said, "Oh, do you have kids?" And obviously I've said no, but I've been working with kids for this amount of years. And they're already putting a wall between us just for the fact that I don't have kids. So they feel like you don't understand me because you don't have kids. And then obviously, because I love what I do, I'm like, give me a chance. You will see that I'm here to support you and your family and the kid. At the end of the day, I'm here for the kid, but obviously for the parents too. So at the beginning, it takes a couple of times for parents to open with me. But when they see that I'm not coming to judge you, I'm not here to say, you're doing this wrong, do this. No. I am here to see what's happening. I want to understand and I want to help you. Because if I help you, automatically it's going to be helping the kid. Because I am there for 1, 2, 3 hours. But parents are there 24/7. So in order for the kid to feel safe and everything, parents have to be regulated.
Yeah.
So the first thing I do is always checking on parents, giving the opportunity to tell me what's going on. How can I help you? You're not alone. I am here. Communicate with me. If something's challenging, come to me. We will figure out this together. But for parents are hard. It's hard and it's one of those challenging that it's been actually exciting. I'm like, I'm ready. Let's do this. Yes.
I want to give you something that you can add. So you can say, I may not be a parent, but I'm a deep empath. And although I don't know your lived experience, I'm here to hold space for it and to support you because it's not about fixing or coming to you with a list of criteria or things to do. It's about holding space for you and navigating together. So I may not have my lived experience, but even if I did, it would be different from yours because every parenting journey is different.
And I am not there to change your kid. We're not changing them. We love them. I want your kid the way it is. We're just adding new skills. We're adding new things for them to grow. But I want the same kiddo that I met. That's the beautiful thing of what we do. I don't want to change the kid. I don't want to become someone different, robotic. Do this, do that, stand up, sit down. No, I want him to be him. That's it. We're just going to add it. How we're going to add it? Let's figure out. We're going to play. We're going to do this. I'm becoming the kid now. This is me.
Mhm.
And then, like Francis says, they're going to model what you're doing. If I'm a kid, they're going to be a kid. They're going to learn how to be a kid, what we want them to learn, simple things.
Mhm.
And you're going to see their nervous system coming down, and they're going to mirror how you're feeling. And my goal is for parents to be like that too.
To empower them with the tools.
Exactly.
I want to cry listening to you because most people in our field don't see it that way necessarily. And maybe they see it that way, but are restricted by rules or supervisors or methodologies that don't actually embody that. And that's a big part of what we do, is to shift that. And so I remember years ago somebody being like, how would you describe yourself in your field? And I was like, I'm a badass. But that wasn't the appropriate term. And my friend said, you're a disruptor. And when she said that, I was like, yeah, I'm a badass disruptor. And so at this table are a bunch of disruptors to this field, in a field that requires disruption.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a really powerful energy behind that, because you're creating beautiful, meaningful change. It's compassionate. It's loving in nature. Like you said, I love you and I don't want to change you. Whereas the typical analyst comes in with, these are all the things we're going to change and fix. This will no longer happen, and this will no longer happen, and this, and now this and this and this will happen. And there is an element of changing behavior that we are doing. But the focus and the intention and the energy behind it all is not about changing a person. It's about just giving them a different way of being who they are, exactly who they are,
Mm-hmm.
by giving them a way that makes them feel good and lights them up from the inside, instead of feeling wrong or bad or not belonging or whatever it is that they might feel. And this feeling of, I'm powerful, I'm brilliant, I'm incredible in my own way. I remember working with a client years ago, many, many years ago, and I remember silently redirecting him. And he would say, let's say his name was Francis, he would say, bad Francis, wrong again, Francis. And I was like, oh my God, what just happened? And every time he was silently redirected, he had this aversive response where he spoke so negatively to himself. And I remember just standing there crying and be like, I didn't say that. I didn't even think that. Well, what's happening? And I remember learning that he had a different therapist prior. And they use different language and they use different corrections. And it was like, nope, wrong. And the redirection was, more punitive. And I mean, since I worked then, I've changed a lot about what I do anyway. But I talk about this often. And I love to share about this because I think it's so impactful, because we're talking about the adults. But I want you to think about a client you started with, like your first ever client. So like bring that, or your own child, into your mind's eye, right? Like, what was it like when you first met them? What did you think and feel? And what were they like? How did they feel? And fast forward to this moment. If you know where that child is, you can easily bring it to your mind's eye. But I want you to imagine, if you don't know, like maybe you're not in touch, the impact you made on that child moving into this moment. That impact impacted their being, their soul, their essence. And so it impacts every single soul they interact with. Every teacher, every peer, every adult, their future spouse, their future bosses and coworkers, their friends, their teammates, all of those people are impacted by the work you did. Because you came in with pure light, with love and compassion. You came in and saw them not with the intention of altering them, but with the intention of loving on them and teaching them. And I think that is the shift that is required. And that shift stems from an innate gift that you all have. I didn't know that what I was doing came from an energetic source, came from a gift from within me, came from the fact that I am an empath and I feel other people deeply. Do all of you or any of you identify as an empath, as someone who feels so deeply for other people? You can feel it within your being as if you are experiencing it yourself.
100%.
Yes.
It drives me crazy because I can look at somebody's situation. I'd be like, but what if that happened to me? Like, how would I handle it? And I would literally, I'm an overthinker, guys. So it's just,
And I'm a
And
crybaby.
You belong. Overthinker, crybaby, deep empath. I think it is, I talked to my eldest about this because she has the most language to express her ability to feel others so deeply. And if you've listened to my podcast with her, you'll hear her talk about it because it doesn't end with people. She actually feels for animals in a very deep way. It can feel like a curse. And Katrina, you and I spoke about this yesterday, that I spent my whole life feeling other people's feelings so deeply that they impacted my own mental health and my own well-being, not realizing that I was literally living in my own emotions and my own energy and other people's emotions and energy. And there's a gift to this curse. And it falls into our work. It falls into our friendships, into our relationships with our significant others, with our friends, with our families. There is a gift to it. There's a curse there too.
Yes.
The curse falls when you don't know how to set a boundary. The curse falls into when you don't realize when you're sitting in somebody else's energy, which requires a lot of mindfulness practice, of self-awareness. But the gift is why you guys are all so talented. It's because you feel others so deeply that you don't require a data sheet to always know what to do. And so we had this conversation of, how do you teach that? How do you teach that?
Yes. I think, I think being an empath, I think it helps to as a BCBA because then I will go in session, look at my client, look at family, and you look at your RBT. I'm like, things off. You okay? Going on. Because I feel like when the RBT's energy is not right, it will affect the whole
Of course.
session. And I feel with our RBTs, they feel like, oh, you're my boss. I don't, you're just only here for my client. I think what set me apart as a BCBA is like, I do care for my RBTs. I actually have RBTs still calling me, hey, what should I do? They do such important work that as BCBA, sometimes we forget. Like, no, they always think like, oh, BCBA, RBT. No, I think really we should be partners. I never say like, hey, I hate when they call me boss or like, no, we're not working with that. It's a partnership. But yeah, going back to being empaths, like I think it helps, like when the RBT feels like seen, their quality of work with your client, with the parents, another level.
I agree.
Another level.
And I think that's the mistake that we're having nowadays is that there's a lot of PCBAs like that.
Yeah.
And they just come to sit down and watch you. Good job. You're doing great. And they forget about their RBT.
Yeah.
And it becomes just something that they have to do.
Yeah.
And they're not happy. And the kids feel that.
Yes.
And they feel that too. So now this is not working. And so there's beautiful when there's BCBAs who come in like, how are you? You're good. Okay, you're good. Okay, so everything's gonna be good. So it's beautiful to have that here in this company.
Thank you. Unfortunately, this conversation could last probably 7 weeks.
Yeah.
So my kids are away, so we'll be here every day. I'm just kidding. But I want to leave whoever's listening with something to sit with. One, I want you to sit with, you're not crazy. I mean, I can't really diagnose you with anything, but if you connect with anything that any of us shared, I hope you felt seen and heard and connected. And if you are receiving services that don't feel this way, I urge you to advocate for services that do. And if you are providing services that don't feel this way, I urge you to advocate for services that do, or find a place where your soul feels connected to what you're doing. And if you are not the recipient or the deliverer of services, but you are listening, everything that we do in our lives touches those that we interact with every day. So be present with yourself. Take care of yourself. Take yourself to that movie by yourself or with whoever you want to go with by your choice, not obligation. And fuel your own energetic source, however that is, whether that be in a movie, sitting under the moon, being alone or with someone, however that is, fuel yourself. And from the depths of my soul, thank you to the 5 of you for everything you do every single day, for the way that you show up for yourselves and for everyone, and for coming to work with me, because through you, I live out my purpose. So thank you.
Thank
you.
Hope we
Bye,
do this again.
guys.